Okay guys, so this week we are talking about suffixes. Last week we talked about prefixes. So if you notice in the little camera over here on the square, you will need this handout and we're going to be filling it out as we go, so pay attention. So what does fix mean? So we kind of talked about this with prefixes. So when we think of the word fix, we usually think of repairing something that is broken or not working properly. The men are fixing the road. Can it mean anything else? And we talked about this last week. So fix can also mean to attach or secure an object to another object. So for instance, she will fix the picture to the wall. An affix is a group of letters that is fixed or attached to a word. Okay, so affix, remember that. An affix to the beginning of a word is called a prefix. That's the first thing we're going to write on our sheet, where it says an affix to the beginning of the word is called a prefix. Remember, we worked on prefixes last week. It adds meaning to the word. So like happy, if I add un in front of it, it means not. Un must mean not happy. An affix to the end of a word is called a suffix. That's the next thing we're going to write. And that is what we're going to be focusing on this week. It adds meaning to the word. So like careful, full means full of. So it must mean that careful must mean full of care. So here's a way to remember which comes first. So we talked about this last week. Think of PS on a note. Dear Allie, have a great day at school. Good luck on your test. Love, Mom. P.S. Love you. So P comes at the beginning and stands for prefix. S comes at the end and stands for suffix. So today we are focusing on suffixes. So suffixes are fixed to the end of words. So like careful, the base word is care. And what is the suffix? Full. So guys, our base word is a word that can stand by itself. So if I was to take full away, that means that the word left is a real word that I can use and has a meaning. Okay, so let's figure out what suffix full means. So if you look at your handout, we're going to be looking at some of these words. So careful. What do we think careful means? Full of care. Okay. Helpful. Full of help. So let's kind of work on the rest of these. Colorful would be full of color. Powerful would be full of power. Shameful and thankful. I want you to write those two down before I move on. So we have colorful means full of color. Powerful means full of power. What do you think shameful and thankful mean? So shameful means full of shame, and thankful means full of thanks. Okay, so you should have all that written down in your boxes. Okay, so what does full mean? It means, full of. Okay. So it says, what is another way to write this sentence? And so here we have in the space below, write this sentence another way. If you go on a long hike, a first aid kit can be full of use. So how could we rewrite that? So full of use would be, we're going to use use and then we put full at the end, F-U-L. So we could say, I can change full of use to useful, and my sentence would be, if you go on a hike, a first aid kit can be useful. So you're going to rewrite that down here underneath that. So if you go on a long hike. A first aid kit can be useful. Okay, so that's how we change that sentence. So we can also use suffixes to help us change the way we write a sentence. So let's look at the next part. Let's figure out what the suffix less means. So careless means without care. When you're careless, you're without care. You're not really being careful. Oh, I forgot to put without. Ooh. Helpless. So if careless means without care, helpless means without help. Okay, so turn the page over. It's going to be on the back of this page. We're still working on less. So we know that less is going to mean without. So colorless would be without color. So I want you to write what these next ones would be. Powerless, shameless, thankless. I'll give you about a couple seconds to write those out, and then we'll move on. Okay, so powerless means without power. And I spelled that wrong. There should not be an R right there. Shameless is without shame. Thankless means without thanks. I cannot write today. Okay, so we know that less means without. Okay, so let's look how we could rewrite this sentence. The baby monkey is without a mother. So, we could say, we can change without a mother to motherless. I didn't think about that one. So our new sentence that we would write underneath would be, the baby monkey is motherless. That's sad. Okay, so the suffix full in. So did you notice that full and less create antonyms? Did not know that. If a person is powerful, he or she is full of power. If a person is powerless, he or she is without power. So less equals without, thankless, colorless, joyless, harmless, helpless. Full is full of, thankful, colorful, joyful, harmful, helpful. So they're opposites. Okay, so they create antonyms. So the suffix full and less create antonyms. And we just got done talking about antonyms a few weeks ago. So they are the opposites. Okay, let's look at ER, suffix ER. So we have newer. What do you think so our base word is new. So our base word is new, and we added the suffix ER. So what is that going to do to our word? It's going to make it mean more new. Okay. Older means more older or more old. Skinnier, shinier, sorry, means more shiny. Okay, so let's look at the next three words on our handout. Messier, funnier, taller. What do you think over here in the boxes next to them? What is that going to mean? What does that make those words mean? I'll give you a couple of minutes. So let's see. Messier means more messy. Funnier means more funny. And then taller means more tall. So ER means more. So when you see the suffix ER added to the end of a word, it's going to mean more. So let's look how we can change this sentence. What is a better way to write this sentence? I am more tall than my sister. Guys, more tall is not correct English. That sentence doesn't even sound right. So we need to change more tall to taller. I am taller than my sister. More tall is not I am taller than my sister. Using more tall in this sentence is not acceptable English. It means it does not sound right. You should not be using that. Okay, so let's look at ist. E-S-T. When I have a base word and I add the word E-S-T, like in newest, so if I were to take away E-S-T, I have new. And then if I add EST, that would make it most new. Okay. If I had the word oldest, so I have old and then I add EST, that would make it most old. If I have the word shiniest, it would make it most shiny. So go ahead and fill in the next three. Messiest, funniest, tallest. Okay, so let's look at that. So messiest means most messy. And we have funniest means most funny. We have tallest means most tall. Oh, most tall. So we know that EST means most. So let's look at how we could, what is a better way to write this sentence? I am the most tall kid in my family. So that doesn't really sound right when we say that. So I need to change most tall to tallest. So I need to write, I am the tallest kid in my family. So remember, using most tall in this sentence is not acceptable English. It doesn't sound right. It's not proper. We need to make sure that that's why we add suffixes and prefixes to the ends of words. Because if we didn't and we wanted to talk about being the tallest kid, if we do most tall, it wouldn't sound right in the sentence. So when you use ER and EST, ER is used to compare two people or things. Shane can run faster than Tom can skate, so you're comparing. EST is used to compare more than two people or things. Manuel won for being the fastest person in the race. So ER, we're comparing two people or things. EST, we're comparing more than two things. Now, there is another meaning for the suffix ER. So let's talk about that one. So if you notice, we have the word painter. That doesn't mean more paint. ER can also mean a person who. So painter is a person who paints. Okay, let's look at the next one. Writer is going to be a person who writes. Saying about ER, we wouldn't want to say more right. That went, so it's a person who writes. We have winner, which is a person who wins. So I want you to look at these next three: player, worker, firefighter. And I want you to write over to the side what they mean. Okay, so let's look. A player is a person who plays. So baseball player, basketball player, it's a player who plays. A worker is a person who works. So if we say like the construction worker. Firefighter is a person who fights fire. Okay. And then ER means a person who. Okay, so let's look how we can rewrite this sentence. My mom is a person who carries the mail. So what would that be? A person who carries the mail would be a mail carrier. So I can change a person who carries the mail to mail carrier. So my sentence would be you're going to write this down at the bottom. Mom is a mail carrier, and a carrier is a person who carries. Okay. So, what did we learn? Let's look a little more closely at the suffix er, because there's two meanings. So, first, we learned that er can mean more. In my opinion, math is easier than writing. So where it says right here, er can mean more. And then we learned that er can mean a person who. So where it says er can mean a person who. So my dad is a good golfer. So how do you know which meaning is being used? So how do you know when it's talking about more or a person who? So look at the content of each sentence. My dad is older than my mom. What does the suffix er mean in this sentence? Well, it means you are comparing two people. So when you're comparing two people, therefore, you need to use more. So that er means more. So right here where it says my dad is older than my mom, it's more. Okay. Now, my cousin is an amazing swimmer. What does the suffix er mean in this sentence? In this sentence, er means a person who. The narrator's cousin is a person who swims. So when it's talking about when it's comparing two things or people, you're going to use more. This sentence is not comparing anything. So we know that they're talking about a person who. So if it's not comparing anything, when you see a suffix, a word that has the suffix er at the end, and it's not comparing anything, it's talking about a person who. When you see a word that has a suffix er and you look at the sentence, and if it's comparing two things, it's talking about more. Okay? So now this is our last suffix. Let's figure out what the suffix able means. So able. Fixable. Not able, it means able. So figure out what the suffix able means. Fixable means able to fix. Or able to be fixed. Okay. Readable. Able to be read. Washable. Able to be washed. Okay, so I want you to look at the next Look at the rest of them. Payable, livable, laughable, and write what you think those mean. Okay, so let's see. For payable means able to be paid. And if you notice, guys, all of these words are in the past tense. Fixed, read, washed, paid, livable, able to be lived in. And then laughable, able to be laughed about. So I want you to look at all these verbs. Fixed, read, washed, paid, lived, laughed. They are all verbs in the past. They're past tense verbs. So able means to, means able to be. And so let's look at this sentence. The glass vase is able to be broken. So I can change that because I think it could be better if we can write that a little bit better. So I can change able to be broken to breakable. So the glass vase is breakable. The glass vase is breakable. All right, guys. So the prefixes we learned today was full, less, est, and then able. And remember, was the one that had two meanings to it. All right, guys.